Okay. So the text says, this is Joshua. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Any ideas? The floor is open. Anybody with an idea or a problem or an issue? If you do, go ahead.
Pastor,
Otherwise, okay, go ahead, Pastor.
from the beginning, when you put up the tonight's Bible study, ask the question: what is being referred to as the book of the law?
Yeah.
Right. One of the
Yeah.
questions supposed to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And of the phrase that shall not depart out of your mouth. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the book of the law is referring to the first 5 books of Moses. Is that right? Probably, most likely, Deuteronomy.
No, that it will be the Deuteronomy is just one of the books of
So
the
I'm
library.
the first 5 book. What do you call it? The
They call it the Torah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's what it's referring to, right? The book of the law.
Yes, that's what a lot of people believe.
So
Anybody
I'm
with
no. So I'm not right.
no. You are 90%
That's
right.
what a lot of people believe. So that means
Yes.
I'm not.
What I'm saying is that is the conventional belief, right? And in actual fact, that's what it is. However, there is a little catch, and I'll bring it up, and then we can judge about it and see.
Yeah. Because you asked those questions, that's why I'm starting from there. What?
Yeah. As I said, it's a proper question, and it's good you brought it up because it will help. It will focus the discussion,
Okay.
right? So I'm very grateful you brought it up, Dr. Watson.
Yes, sir.
Any ideas?
Okay, so my idea is to go back one step. Okay, so I know you are focusing on the verse 8, but I read through a few verses today and I went back one step to I was trying to catch the whole, what is it? The nutrients and the vitamins of the story. And I realized that uh if you read from the verse 1, God was telling Joshua that okay, now that Moses is dead, you are taking over and all that. And where he mentions the book of the law. So I think my predecessor already mentioned the book of the law. So look at, and the law that was used, the law, I was thinking that the law should be laws. That's what I thought out. I thought it was going to be plural laws. But you realize if you read, it doesn't say laws, it says law.
The
So
book
which
of the law.
law,
Yeah.
the book of the law. So which particular law was he
No,
referring to instead of the law?
the when we use law in a certain sense, it stands for a whole body of text or belief system, right? So it's not a particular law or a particular, call it, section of a law, but the totality of it, right? So as Pastor Tess rightly said, is the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
A Pentateuch, as they call it.
The
Yeah.
Pentateuch.
they call
Okay,
it
so we are looking
Pentateuch.
at the whole 5 books as only one unit law.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we call it the body or the corpus, right, of the book. We call it law because you find the laws, or call them the statutes, right? Or these are synonymous terms. When a statute, or what we would normally call law, right? And we have commandment. When a king makes a law, we call it a commandment. When a body, a judiciary, a legislative body makes a law, right? Then we call it, sometimes we call it a bill, we call it law, and what have you. Then when a judge makes a law, we call it judgment. So but they are the same thing. So even if you come to the US system, you realize that we say the law will catch up with you, right? But it's not a specific law, but the general criminal code, for example, will catch up with you. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what most people think that the book of the law actually stands for. But there is also a growing belief in some sectors that nature is also a book. Right? And it's a book of laws. Because nature has do's and don'ts. Right? One of them being, if you put a seed in the soil gives you back what? A tree, for example, with fruits. Right? So that becomes a law. So there is a huge number of people that also believes that the law that is being talked about is not only the law Moses wrote, right, but the law that God actually put in place. And that would include the written one as well as the unwritten one, which is nature. Are you getting me? So God wrote 2 books, scripture and nature. And so the book of the law includes nature itself. Is that making sense? Very interesting. Now, question. The book, it says, this book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth. Your mouth. The thou there, the thou, which means you, right? Do we agree?
Yeah.
The thou, right? You. That you, we have to define its scope. What does it refer to? Does it refer to you personally? Or is it referring to just the people of Israel at the time? Or does it refer to all believers in the Bible? That means it will include all Christians, contemporary, living and then contemporary. And does it also mean it applies to all mankind? What do you think?
It's speaking to humans, all mankind. That's what I believe. Speaking to all mankind.
Okay. Okay. What do you think, Prince?
Yeah, I think so too.
It applies to all
human beings.
Mankind.
Yes.
But wasn't it initially given to Joshua first? I mean, it was like a direct conversation between him and God, and later extrapolated to mankind.
Actually, it was Moses. It was Moses who wrote down these laws, right? It was Moses. let's say God. And that's where a little argument pops up. If Moses wrote it, did Moses write it for everybody, Jews and non-Jews, to heed whatever is written therein? Or it was written specifically for the Jews, the descendants of Abraham? What do you think?
Yeah.
Right? What do you think, Pastor Gabu? Auntie Naomi, you are welcome. Pastor Gabu, what do you think?
I'm driving, so I'm not concentrating. But I'm just listening. I'll get.
Okay. You are welcome, Auntie Naomi.
Thank you, Pastor.
Amen. You're looking youngish. Okay, so Prince, you said you also believe that this particular, the law here applies to everybody, all mankind, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, for example, the book prescribes the law of the Sabbath. Does it mean everybody must follow the Jewish understanding of it and observe the Sabbath on a Saturday?
So I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do we know specifically that the Sabbath is a Saturday?
Well, it says the seventh day.
So, which is the seventh day?
Seven days is a Saturday. Sunday is the first day of the week. So God started creation on Sunday and then ended on a Friday and rested on Saturday.
For certain that it's a Sunday.
Well, I mean, if you study the calendar, yes, because the first day of the week for everywhere is Sunday, right?
Week. Wow.
The first day of the week. And then the last day of the week is Saturday. And that's the day God rested. So God finished all his work on Friday and rested on Saturday. He began his work on Sunday.
So my question is, do we know that for certain?
We know the first day. I mean, we've put names, right? Because Sunday, the Bible doesn't say Sunday per se, but we call the first day. God spoke of the first day, right? And we have given the name Sunday to identify the first day. Does it make sense? Because there was a first day. Do we agree? Because that's what the Bible said, right? Because God created the heavens. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? And the earth was a blah, blah, blah. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And the morning and the evening and the morning was the first day. So that first day, we call it Sunday. Is that making sense? Is that making sense?
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
No. Let's put it, was there a first day according to Genesis chapter 1?
Yeah, there was a first day. But my question is, do we know that for certain?
That there was a first day?
No, there was a first day.
Okay.
That's
and
Sunday.
all I'm saying is, we have chosen to call the first day Sunday. We just want a name for it. Right?
Okay.
It could be, somebody could call it Wednesday. But if it refers to the first day, we are dealing with the first day. Is that making sense? Forget about the name. Was there a first day? Was there a second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day?
There was a first day.
Yeah. So we are conveniently, as a way of identifying the first day, we call it Sunday. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Is that convincing?
Yeah, I'm getting where you're coming from here.
Yeah. So the name given does not really matter much, but the number of the day is what is important.
So what's the first day? Yes.
Yeah. So the first day, we have chosen to call it Sunday. Right? Yeah. Like if you are a guy like me, Kodba, right? Then the second day, Ju, third day, Ju 4, and things like that. So these are convenient ways to identify something. Okay. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
So the Sabbath is the seventh day, and we call it Saturday. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So back to our question. If you are saying that the scope of the word "you" in the text applies to mankind and not the children of Israel per se, then I am asking, there is a requirement for the observance of the Sabbath day as part of the requirements of the law. Right?
Yeah.
Question: does it apply to you? Do you have to observe it?
The dispensation of time, so there's been a change in a way.
Well, I mean, that's why you can argue your case out, but that's one of those things that we have to resolve, because words now become very important. Certain words hold, special places, right, in a text, because we have to. Don't forget, there is a whole argument out there that for Christians, the law no longer holds. I hope you've heard that argument.
Yes.
Before. Yeah. And if this is a requirement of the law, and we are being told that we should observe everything written in the law. Now, if that is so, we have to define the scope of that law, right? Does it apply to all people in all places at all times? Or it applied to the children of Israel at a specific time or at all times in all places?
You know what? I think, from my personal observation, the confusion that goes on around the word is that sometimes many people have chosen to select some things that were in the Old Testament Israel, pertaining to Israel, and they want to claim it. But when it comes to other situations, they want to move away from the Old Testament, the Israel days, and so this is a New Testament, new dispensation. So it's like we are mixing things at a time. It depends on how we want to translate it. Sometimes one is okay, we are claiming this Abrahamic covenant, all this promise and so, but sometimes we also say, okay, this one was specifically for Israel. It doesn't apply to us. So sometimes I feel like there's a bit of confusion around.
Oh yeah. That's very true, right? And that's why it's important for us to resolve these issues. It's as simple as that. Not
Pastor,
that.
I want to get this. It's not. I'm not different from what we are talking about, but God's law is the same. It doesn't change from generation to generation, has it? Any law, God's law.
The question is, I'm not going to be committed to a yes or no answer, because in this same book, according to God, God gave this. God said they should not eat certain meat. Then in the book of Acts, I believe, is it chapter 7 or verse 9? Chapter 9. God asks Peter to...
Who told you?
And then you getting me. And so these are whether when God speaks, it is, let's put it this way, as far as I'm concerned, it is only God who can change the law, right? So if God at a particular time makes a proclamation or a declaration that this should be observed, that's it, right? If at another time the same God comes and makes accommodations, that is what will apply. Is that making sense? Is that making sense? So,
yes, Pastor.
So
when do we know the change?
No, I mean, for example, God in the book of Leviticus, and I think mostly in Exodus, Leviticus, and the book of Numbers, laid out some laws. What should not be eaten? Pigs. I mean, pork should not be eaten. Even pigs, they should not be reared, and all kinds of things. In fact, to the extent that people who were had flat nose could not become priests. It's in the Bible. You getting me? And so you ask, what is really happening here? Does it mean all black people have flat nose? Is it saying black people should not become priests? These are some of the controversies. You getting me? But they make for an exciting life. And that is why Joshua has written, and he says, this book of the law should not depart out of our mouth, but we should meditate, and that is the key word. Meditate is simply means thinking deeply, dissecting, right? Because it is when you do that and you realize that certain things come up and the whole world opens up. And for me, that is the driving goal of this Bible study. That's why we spend a lot of time on the same text, looking at it in depth, because a lot of things are hidden there. And some of the things hidden there are what we are discussing, right?
Okay.
What is the scope? Few people have thought about it. What is the scope? Does it apply to only Israel? If it doesn't, it applies not only to Israel, but to all mankind. Hey, then let's ask some questions too. Because it appears some of the provisions in that law would only apply to a certain people at a certain time, right? Does it mean? I'll give you a typical example, right? We know that, for example, the question of not eating pork, right? was not because, at first we thought, okay, the pig doesn't have sweat pores, right? And therefore, to cool its body down, it wallows in water, right? And so if you rear pigs around, you are likely to have a very muddy body of water, right? Because the pig will jump into it as a way of cooling their body. And then you ask yourself, okay, is it their fault? No, that's the way God created them. Now, the question becomes, then why the commandment against eating of pork when it is one of the most nutritious meat out there? Now, you step back and you also realize that rearing pig in the environment that the Jews found themselves will be a very risky undertaking. Why? The area was a desert. Is that making sense? And in the desert, water is the number one thing, right? Water is the most precious commodity. So you can't have pigs destroying the water bodies. Is that making sense?
Yes.
So we can understand the origin of the law and the intent behind it, not necessarily against the pork, the pig, but against the risk of the pig's behavior and the danger associated with it. Now, it so happens that at the time God asked Peter to eat, to take a rice and then get what people think was the pig, slaughter it and eat, and he said no. The Romans had solved the problem of water shortage in Israel. Are you not getting the picture clear? As at the time, I hope you have heard of a technology called the aqueduct system. Aqueduct is a way, it's still what is right. We lay pipes and there is aqueduct, where water is carried through a channel over a long distance to supply water to a settlement. Are you getting me? So at this time, the Romans had solved the problem of Jerusalem. Because don't forget, Jerusalem was on a hill and water doesn't flow. So Jerusalem was hit twice by the problem of water shortage. Water doesn't flow on mountains, right? And Jerusalem was on a hill. Meanwhile, the valley around too was a desert. So rearing pigs was a double whammy for the area because of water shortage. Now, what if the water problem has been solved? Because the Romans now had come up with a technology that could get water all the way from the Jordan to almost every part of the Jewish world. So water was no longer a major risk, with the pig posing the highest risk. Is that making sense now?
Yeah.
So what we understand is that some of the a law may be passed because of what we call the technical term, the exigencies of the times, right? So what if those exigencies no longer are there because modern provisions have made those exigencies null and void. Are you getting me? Do you still allow those pieces of code on your legal code? Do you allow them, or you let them go? Are we getting the picture clear now? So, yes, when God speaks, that is final. However, when we also understand that laws are not made in isolation, laws are made to solve specific problems. Are you getting the picture clear? If a particular law was enacted to solve a particular problem and that problem no longer is there, do we still keep the law on the books?
It's profound.
Is that making sense? Hello?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So these are some of the things we have to have at the back of our minds, that life is very dynamic, not static, right? So yes, the body of the law may have applied to a certain people in a certain location, but in actual fact, it applied to everybody. So the scope of the you in that text could be you as a person or as an individual, you as a community, and you as the body of mankind. Is that making sense?
Yes. Yes.
It does. It does. But one of the controversial topics that is faced believers is the issue of the tithing thing. That, I mean, it's very controversial.
Yeah, actually, it's a big issue in Nigeria now. Big issue. In fact, there is a raging controversy between the #1 pastor in Nigeria, which is Adeboye, and one of the very enterprising pastors called Dr. Abel Damina, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, it seems as if Abel Damina is winning. He's presenting more credible because this type thing was the requirement of the law, and especially for pastors. Pastors who took in the tithe but never paid tithe, because our reference is always the book of Malachi, right? The Malachi chapter 3. And that particular book or text was meant for the priests, not the congregation. But we also know that in our contemporary world, the tithe is the #1 means the church is able to generate revenue to finance its operations. Are you not getting the picture?
Yes.
And so if the argument raging now is that Christ fulfilled all the requirements of the law. Christ fulfilled, the Bible says he nailed it to the cross. If that is true, why then do we enforce the requirement of the tithe? Is that making sense?
Yes.
Very interesting. It's a very interesting argument, right? And so the question becomes, did Christ abolish the tithe? If you ask me, yes. But did Christ abolish giving? No.
That's good teaching.
Right? So with what Christ did, the individual is no longer required to pay that 10%. The giving now is based on what you choose to give.
And cheerfully.
and cheerfully. That's it. But the reason the segments of the church are pushing back is that, hey, if the 10% goes away and now what a person gives is based on that person's discretion, then people are going to, the church will be impoverished.
They will give 1%.
You getting me? And so that's a potent fear. You getting me? So that the answer is neither here nor there. But as to whether Christ finished and nailed the requirements of the law to the cross, yes, he did. Yes, he did. But then you are faced with that question. How then does the church fund?
So, Pastor Akon, let me ask you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we are going on, but it's an interesting topic that you brought today. So let's resolve our issues. So between the Old Testament, the tithing issue, and the modern days, Paul saying, okay, who gives sparingly shall receive sparingly, and bountifully and all that. So, giving cheerfully is good.
Shaking down and
running over. So
between
these two paradigms, who is going to actually teach us what right thing to do? Because I've been asking God for a press conference. He hasn't responded. So I can't get a press conference to resolve this issue. How do we, because on the aspect of the pastors, they also need the income to generate. So they would defend the 10%. And then the congregation now, because of social media, have also have their eyes wide open. So they're also going to defend, we're not going to do. So now, who is, somebody sound this song, who will tell the truth? Who is going to put us in the middle? Okay, this is gone. This is the new way. How do we, do we use our mind to just go around it, or we have?
You know an interesting thing? That's what I love about God. You see, God is silent. And it doesn't mean he has ceded control of the earth or the world to mankind. But I believe God is silent because he knows he has equipped us spiritually and mentally to deal with issues that crop up, right? One of them being, for example, the doctrine of atonement, right? It's not in the Bible, but the doctrine of atonement answers some serious questions that border on salvation, right? And to tell you the truth, it is because of the doctrine of atonement we have our contemporary scientific technological world, right? Because of the provisions of the doctrine of atonement. But it is not in the Bible. Human minds came up with it, and it is working. And the realization, therefore, is that God speaks through the human being, right? So it's not always the case that you have God boom out of the clouds. Hey, my people, my people. But my people, this time, God may sound it quietly in somebody's intellectual writings. So, Dr. Boyson, for example, your press conference, it could be what we are doing today is the press conference God is granting, because we are answering some of the questions. Is that making sense?
Sure.
Okay. Now, so we brought some of the issues in. We haven't had the substance of this test, but we have to resolve some of the the thorny issues in there, because, hey, Joshua is saying that the way you make your the way to make your way prosperous and have good success is based on the 3 commands. If that is so, we have to, does it apply? Do those commands apply to us? That test, does it apply to us? Are you not getting the picture clear? If it doesn't apply to us, then why study it? But if we agree that it applies to us, hey, then we have to jump at it. And you may think, okay, oh, it's the Bible, and we are Christians. Oh, yeah, yeah. But it's the New Testament. And it has certain provisions. And you have to read the Torah. And the Torah has certain laws that may be specific and applicable to only a certain people at a certain time in a certain place. What happens to those provisions? Are you getting me? If, for example, does it mean because Jews still don't eat pork? Is that making sense? Jews still don't eat pork. Jews, because most Jews don't believe in Christ, right? They hold the requirements of the Sabbath tightly and rigidly. But it is in the Bible. And everything in the Bible is part of our text as Christians. But does it mean that everything, every provision there applies to the Christian, even if it applies to the Jews? These are weighty issues. Do we agree?
Yeah, very weighty, yeah.
And so we are going to deal with a lot of weighty matters. So back to the text. You won't believe, for a long time, until Martin Luther, right, brought about the Reformation, right, in 1596. Look at it. It says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth. At the time, it said, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written. Written. Are we going to be fetish about the meaning of the word written? Does it mean if it is spoken?
Documented.
If it is spoken, do we take it because it says written? And if that is so, does it mean you have to be educated? You have to be able to read and write before this test applies to you? Are we getting the... So, again, written as we understand the word right may have to take on additional meaning. Written may be actually mean published. So publication can take many forms. It can take spoken. It can take the form of actual text. It can take the form of a preached message. It can take... Are we getting the picture clear?
Yes.
So I'm setting us up for us to become sophisticated practitioners of our faith. Right? Another thing, it says, thou shalt meditate therein day and night. What does day and night mean?
At all times.
At all times.
Right? And when we start going into our AI part of it,
It has come to stay.
oh no, you will drink AI, you will smell it, because once you master AI, it's like every test, you can dissect it and you see secrets. Right? You will see secret, and believe me, you will master it. You will master what we call. Okay, don't worry. But if God gives me the strength and the ability, by the time, by next year, by this time, we will have a very good understanding of what AI is about, because it will be part. You function in an AI world without realizing you are. You get me? Because we'll learn the tech. I will incorporate the techniques here, right? That's the benefit of me, God giving me advanced training a little bit ahead of time. I didn't even know I was doing it. Here we are, right? So I'm not struggling to incorporate it. I know 99% of pastors out there may have difficulty incorporating. Dr. Bosnia, am I saying something substantive here?
Yes, you are. Mm-hmm.
I think somebody. Oh, okay. Okay. So it says there now, so we agree. Now, I also want you to look at something. It says, look at the text. This book of the law shall. That's authoritative language, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means you have no discretion. You have no discretion about it. It is binding, right? Shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate. So you have no discretion as to meditation on the word of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, let's look at the third part. That thou mayest. Does it mean you have discretion as to whether to observe what God said? Shall, authoritative, binding language. May, permissive. Right? So is Joshua saying that as to the first part of this text, it is binding, but the third part is non-binding? What do you think?
Well, I think that if something is binding and you are obliged to do, you do A, then B should follow.
But Joshua has used may,
which
not
means
shall.
Conditional or it's not automatic. You could have it or you may not. You
but
won't.
The first two parts, they are not conditional, right? They are not conditional. You have no shall. You have no choice.
Part, yeah.
You have no. But the third part, which has to do with the actual application, because it said that thou may observe to do according to all that is written therein. So are we going to say, yes, we have no discretion as to the first two, but whether to do what is required, there we have a choice?
So does it mean you are obliged?
No, I don't know. I'm asking a question.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is, so you are obliged to do it, but the result that you are supposed to get, that is conditional.
No, because the third is still a requirement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is one of the requirements, one of the commandments. That means observe to do.
There are three commands
and
2 promises.
Mm-hmm.
But the first 2 commands are binding because of the word shall.
Mm-hmm.
But the third command, the term may, has been used. Does it mean it is non-binding?
Yeah, because of that phrase.
Flexible. It's a little flexible.
Mhm.
So does it mean the third one is for individual as you, as a person?
Well, it goes back to what we asked, whether the you there applies to you, the individual only, to the group only, to the community only, to the nation of Israel only, or to mankind. So the you there, very interesting. That's why we dealt with the scope, right? We dealt with the scope of that you, and we realized, what did we settle on? We said it applies to everybody, right? So everybody is bound. But the third command, we said, did Joshua just got tired of using the word shall and decided to use another word, may? Because don't forget, this is the book of the law. So you are dealing with what? Law. And in law, may and shall have distinct meaning. Are you getting me? Very interesting. So what do you think?
So you can choose to believe, you can choose to do it, or you can choose not to do it.
So if you choose not to do it, have you violated the law?
Yeah, I think, I mean, with the initial two, you are obliged to do it. But the third one, as we are saying, it's dependent on you, because if you do what first two says, then the blessings that come with it, you're going to have it. So it's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do it
individual.
or not. It's up to you. Yeah, it's individual preference. So if you don't want to do it, then you don't get the full benefit or the full blessing. So you can know it. They say, what is it? What is this idiom they use? Lack of, what is it? I forgot. What about ignorance?
My people perish for lack of
yes,
knowledge. Yeah.
Ignorance is no excuse. You can say, okay, I didn't know. But here they are trying to tell you that once you know, then it's dependent on you. Do you want to do it or you don't want to do it? Because each of them comes with a repercussion. So with the two, you don't have a choice. But the third one, you decide whether you want to do it or not. You have the apport, you have the knowledge. Do you do it? You're going to write the exam. You've studied. You have the information. Put it on paper and pass. Are you going to sit there and say, okay, I know it in my head, but I don't want to put it down for exam council to grade me. So I'm just going to sit there and wait on time and just pass my blank paper to the examiner or whatever.
Okay. Just go and wrestle with that for next week. Let's go on now. Then it says, for then thou shalt make thy way prosperous. Then thou, the thou there is you, right? So you, the individual, the community, the group, the nation, and mankind. You make your way prosperous.
Another condition.
But then the second part, then thou shalt. Hey, look at what is happening. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous.
After you've observed one and two.
So prosperity, who is responsible for it?
Yourself.
Then the second part is and thou shalt have good success. Who is responsible for having good success?
You are.
Is it you?
Yourself.
Because no, I don't think so. Because he said you shall have. Somebody then gives. Because Joshua was very. You shall make your way prosperous. But this time, the second, you shall have good success. So does it mean there is a difference between success and prosperity?
Yeah, because success is subjective.
And prosperity is not subjective?
No, prosperity, most people value prosperity in terms of wealth or money or stuff. But success is actually achieving your God-given purpose or talent. That is success. You can be
Or potential,
poor,
yeah.
but be successful what you are. Yeah, you can be poor but still achieve your
so
goal.
the question is, if Joshua, and okay, let me train you in certain things. When an author takes the additional step to introduce additional information, then that author is controlling the meaning. Are you understand? Let me give you an example. If I say, nobody shall come to my house, then it means everybody, male or female. But if I say, no man shall come to my house, right? Does it mean women cannot come to my house?
It depends if you are speaking in biblical terms, because in Bible,
okay. No woman or no human beings can come to my house, right? Okay.
They qualify both male and female. Yeah.
No woman must come to my house. Does it mean men can come?
Yes. Men can come. Transgender can come.
When an author takes the trouble to introduce specifics or certain terms, then that author is seeking to control the meaning. Are you getting the picture now?
Yeah.
So if we understand that principle and we bring it here and we realize that the same Joshua has said, then you shall make your way. So he introduces you shall make, right? And then the second he said, you shall have. Why did he choose to give us two different things? Why couldn't he say, you shall make your way prosperous and you shall create or make your own success?
Make is doing it.
Okay.
Have is you do it and you have.
So you receive, right?
Receive.
You receive. So who gives? Because if you receive, then somebody must give. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is it possible then for you to be prosperous?
You receiving.
Is it possible for somebody to be prosperous and not successful?
Yeah,
definitely. Somebody is successful but not prosperous.
Yeah, that one too.
No, are you getting the nuances of how difficult a test can be?
Success is relative, right? Success is relative. So it depends on the context of the success. Because for a student, success could be just for one student, success is just passing. For another student, success will be a 4.0 GPA.
Okay.
So both of them are students, both of them want to pass, yet they look at success in a different light.
But the question we are actually pursuing is that Joshua says, in the same vein, and I will give you additional context. He said, then thou shalt make thy way prosperous.
Mm-hmm.
And then thou shalt have good success. One, you shall make. So it's not God who gives prosperity. It's you. You make yourself prosperous. According to this, if we are going by strict interpretation.
But then if you
but success,
God creates the conditions.
No, I mean, whether that's why this test, Joshua has made some recommendations which are binding, right?
Pastor, how about a situation where there's a juxtaposition of but the same Bible saying that it is God who gives you the ability to make wealth? That one too. How does that?
Actually, it's that's the book of, I think, Deuteronomy. Is it Numbers or Deuteronomy?
Deuteronomy 8:18.
Yeah. He gives you the power to make wealth.
Oh, it's you. Right.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, look at the controversy that we are. Some of the thorny issues from a simple test, right? Which is what I'm trying to do here. I just don't want you to be just passive readers. You become active as you are reading. And that's why I chose this, because Joshua said meditate. That's a powerful word. Right? Think deeply. Let your mind go to it. This is not prayer. Meditation is not about prayer. It is about mental effort. Pastor Rich, am I clear on that? Pastor Rich?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, my hand was pushing something else.
Am I right on that? That meditate has to do with mental activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Right. And this is Joshua writing to us. And in actual fact, he received it directly from God. If you read, that's what. Right. So what I'm putting in your plate is for us to realize that this test has parts, and what we thought the text meant may just be a scratch on the surface of the text with respect to its meaning. Now, okay, let's go to the next. We have some few minutes then now. Do you realize that the last part, this is what Joshua starts with the word for. Can you see that? For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous. Can you see the word for?
Mm-hmm.
What sort of word is it here? What role is it playing in this particular test, in this context?
I think it's mentioned most often for is because, but this instance is mentioned some like thereafter or after you've done this, then this will follow.
No, so replace the for there with because and see if the sentence flows.
No, I didn't say the for here means because.
I'm saying that we want to see the role or the function of that word in that text, the word for.
So basically, you can say if we're replacing for with because, then it will read something like, "You shall meditate in the day and night, because you make your way prosperous and have good success."
Right, I agree. But that pains the word for here becomes what we call an argument marker.
Argument what?
Argument marker. Right?
Marker. Okay.
Yeah. Marker. Whenever you are reading, certain words give you clues as to the sort of text structure you are dealing with. For is what we call a reason marker in an argument.
A reason
marker or a premise marker.
Okay.
Right? And then you have the word therefore, for example, or thus, or hence. they are conclusion markers in an argument. Why is this important? It's important because Joshua is now telling us he is presenting an argument. And the first three, therefore, are the premises. Are you getting the picture clear? Is that making sense?
Sure.
Yes. I will tell you, by God's grace and His help, I'll turn you into scholars. You just don't read for the sake of reading, because a lot. And the reason is important. Once you understand that this is an argument, you have to read about what arguments are for. And arguments flow from logic, and the language of the Bible is logic.
The Bible is no longer spiritual, or both.
No. The language of it, it builds. You see, you read, the Bible gives you spiritual information to develop your spirit. But the Bible also trains the mind for higher achievements. All mathematics is logic.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please do. Go ahead.
And I know my position, but this might sound a little controversial.
No.
Where did we get this mindset of differentiating spiritual and what do we call the other one? Natural or physical?
Mental.
No, not in the mental, but in the world. We, especially we Christians, well, we tend to term things spiritual matters and maybe natural matters or physical matters. Where did we get that? Where do we get that idea from?
Well, it's just because let me not answer. I mean, you ask a question, let other people answer.
No, you started.
Because I think it's a way to excuse our laziness. Because mental effort is very demanding.
Yeah, and I think we tend to align with carnality. So anything that is physical out there, we think it's carnal. So we don't want to be carnal people. So we want to enter into the spirit.
That's okay.
What's your theory?
It's interesting you said that. Yes. I'm interested to know Dr. Boysen's. That's Dr. Boysen, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested to know Dr. Boysen's reason for saying that, because I'm going the way of Pastor Robert. I think we tend to spiritualize things, and it's like so that we don't have to work. We don't have to, maybe to Pastor Robert's point, we don't have to wrestle with trying to gain the knowledge of it, because it's a spiritual period, right? But I think I come from a place where, for example, there was a time in Ghana they said farmers, a particular day, farmers will go to farm. They call it Daboni or something.
No fishing.
So a whole day is wasted, quote unquote, Daboni, right? In Accra, for example, those days there was a particular day fishermen won't go fishing.
Oh, Tuesday, and it is still Tuesday. Still, you don't go fishing.
Okay, so what is the reason behind that?
I'll tell you from a Ghana boy.
Okay, right? Yes. Okay, yes.
They say
I'm sorry, I'm thinking as I will, but I'm curious.
They say if you go fishing on Tuesday, you meet Mami Water, and they say no. It actually, there is a secret behind all this Daboni and everything, right? Including even reserving some forests lands that cannot be farmed and things like
that.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, if you study African religion properly, traditional religion, the only way human beings will obey is when you quote or you quote the requirement.
The gods, bring the gods in.
With the gods, with religious flavor.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is, for example, the land that they say must not be cultivated, if you go deeply into it, you realize it's one way, and I got to know because I studied history. One of the things societies do in the African context because of their experience is that society may have experienced a time of drought simply because the same land is cultivated over and over and over. And after some time, it loses
you need a breather,
its nutrients.
You need a breather.
And therefore drought, famine, right? So in times like that, guess what? The land that has not been farmed will be the only land available with nutrients.
Because it's been made to lie fallow for a while.
And then,
that is even an agricultural principle, still a spiritual principle.
So, but if they don't put it in spiritual, whatever terms, human beings will go and farm it.
Okay.
But if they say, now, then come back to Accra and the fishing. In fact, it's not only in Accra, almost all the coast of Accra.
Central region.
In fact, almost the whole of Africa, because Mozambicans have the same thing, Nigerians have the same thing. It is because there is the tendency of human beings to overfish. 2, there is a tendency of human beings not to rest. So,
the Tuesday is supposed to be Sabbath.
Yes. So these are some of the things you understand. These are some of the things you get to learn, right? But hey, like if we don't say the gods require it,
there will be no fear.
We'll not fear. But if we quote it in religious lingo, people will obey. Because if you go Mami Water, you aren't coming back. Right? So that's one way.
Yeah, right? Pastor, when you look at things too, Tuesday is the only day they rest.
Yeah, that's actually
repair everything that is maybe
their nets and everything.
The nets and everything.
Yeah.
So I think if they don't do that, they won't even get the rest.
I was born on Tuesday. That's why everybody wants to rest on my day. You guys are missing it.
Go where you
it's for the fishermen.
I was born on Saturday, and according to this thing, Nyamida is Saturday. That's God's day. So what do you say? It's only the sea. That's God's day. And I happen to be Gan. We eat kenke. That's the food God eats. And therefore, if you eat kenke and therefore you are a Gan, you don't need to pray. No, it's one of those Gaga saying. No. Back to our text. On a serious note, we'll wrap this.
Pastor Robert, the reason why I asked that question because it's coming back to the text, right? Because and maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself, but as we're talking, it began to dawn on me because I come from a place where, and I'm not begrudging that I see the hand of God in our lives and everything, but I still believe that there is a level of responsibility we must carry and we must appreciate and therefore pursue rather than turning everything to prayer and leaving everything on God. Because the text we're looking at, he said, then you will make your way prosperous and have
Amen.
Then you will. So it's my success, my prosperity, whatever that is, are all my responsibility.
And that's the important thing. That's a important takeaway from this. Okay. You understand? And so now we go the next. I have 5 minutes. I'll close in 5 minutes. Please forgive me. I said, because of the introduction of the word for, we get an understanding that this is an argument. Right? It is an argument. Joshua is presenting an argument. An argument, you have to come down to logic. So, this is what Joshua was presenting. Now, you know, in an argument, we have what we call the premises and the conclusion. So you are now going back to your drawing table, find out which statements in this text constitute the premises that Joshua put forward and the conclusion for the promises. Pastor Rich, you were not here. We said this text contains 3 commands and 2 promises. Right? And before you came, we realized that the first part said, this book of the Lord shall not depart out of thy mouth. Thou shalt meditate therein, thou shalt meditate therein, that thou mayest. And we said, why did Joshua give us shall, and then on the third, he gave us may? And you are dealing with the law, because he says the book of the law. So the subject matter here has to do with the law. And in law, shall and may don't have the same power.
Yeah.
Shall is binding.
Yeah.
May is no. Shall is authoritative language. May is permissive language. Why has Joshua chosen to write this way? Then the icing on the cake is that because of the word for, we realize that Joshua was presenting an argument. That is your homework. Wrestle with it, come up with ideas and revelations next week. Invite somebody. God bless.
God bless. God bless.
God bless you.
So I just want to make sure I clarify. The word may is what we need to go and research. Why?
The shall and the may. Why did Joshua choose to write this way?
Okay.
Right? So the whole goal is you are not going to just read, right? The text is hiding a lot of information.
Okay.
Amen. Who has not? Oh, Pastor Leslie, you have not been here for some time, so please say the final prayer for us.
Okay, let us pray.